How's my volume? Is it the same as yesterday?
Same as yesterday. I didn't change it, so.
Okay. So, here we go.
Folks, we're gonna finish this stupid ass game.
I'm 63% in on this book. This is actually supposed to be a very quick read. It says 1 hour and 42 minutes left.
Oh.
But that's for reading at, like...
Well, let's see who finishes first.
Okay, yeah. I doubt, like, I'll finish it tonight, but whatever. Denton! I cried, bursting into the study. Madeline's gone. He stared at me for a long moment. Then his face softened, and he reached out and touched my arm. I know, he said gently. I know, but she's not suffering any longer, and... No, you blithering idiot! I growled, shaking his hand off. Damnable English language. More words than anybody can be expected to keep track of, and then use the same one for about 3 different things. I know she's dead. I'm telling you, her body's gone. Denton blinked at me. What? She's not in the crypt. The slab is empty. We cannot habeas the corpus. Is any of this getting through? I was perhaps rather less reverent than the situation warranted, but it is a flaw of mine that I become sarcastic when I am frustrated. Are you serious? Miss Potter coughed politely behind me. I can assure you, young man, that the lieutenant is quite correct. Do it. Miss Potter? What are... Denton obviously started to question her presence, then just as obviously abandoned it for more important things. No, later. This is dreadful. Do you think Roderick moved her? I asked. I was expecting him to look away from guilt, but he met my eyes squarely. Perhaps. You know there's something wrong with him, I said softly. You know what he did. Denton cut my words off with a slicing motion of his hand. This is not the time. Well, then let us find Roderick. He's asleep, said Denton. Then we'll wake him, and I gave him a sleeping pill, said Denton. He won't wake up for hours. No, don't glare so, Lieutenant. He says he can't sleep at all, that he hears his sister walking in the crypt. I don't think he's gotten an hour straight of sleep since she died. That's what I'm trying to tell you, this bizarre malady of his. It's the same thing Madeline had. Denton blinked at me. What? It's not a disease, it's a fungus. Oh, for pity's sake, Miss Potter, you tell him. Miss Potter drew Denton aside and explained, in what I assume was English, about saprophytic fungi and the hyphae. I stared at the wall and wondered if Roderick had moved Maddie's body out of guilt, or some notion that he would stop hearing her walk if she was no longer in the crypt. Christ's blood. Now that we knew what it was, could we treat it somehow? Possible, Denton was saying. It's possible. I would not have thought it, but no doctor worth his soul will ever say that he's seen everything there is to see. But I don't see how we can prove it. The shroud may have been moldy, after all. An autopsy of Maddie's body would show it, I said shortly. A body that you tell me we don't have. And I am certainly not going to slice open Roderick's skin looking for these hyphae. I gritted my teeth. Then it'll have to be a hare. And this time, I won't miss. Ooh, he's gonna kill a hare. He's gonna succeed this time. It was Angus who provided the hare. I had swallowed my pride and gone to him to ask for his help. Not for reaching, I won't. Oh, sorry, in the Scottish language, in the Scottish accent. Not for eating, I won't. You said.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's bad. All of my accents have been bad so far with reading this book. I used to be so good at it when I was younger. When, like, half of what I watched was all Harry Potter.
You just gotta imagine the characters you're saying. Yeah.
I'm trying. Okay. But when I explained that it was going to be dissected, he put his head to one side and said, "How's fresh do you be needing it?" Eh?
Stay with him.
There's one not 100 feet from Tund of the causeway. Fell in the lake by the look of it. Saw on my way back from the village this morning. We tromped out to find it. Sure enough, there was one lying half in, half out of the water, face down. It looked as if it had simply wandered up to the tarn and fallen asleep. I was wearing my riding gloves, but I went back for a long stick from the woodpile and fished it out without touching the water. Angus raised his eyebrows at me, but didn't comment. There were 4 of us assembled around the breakfast table this time, although what was laid out was substantially less appetizing. The light was the best in the house, and that was all that we could hope for. We had brought in lamps and candles from our rooms and crowded them along the table until the table was drowning in light. Denton had fetched his doctor's bag and opened it, a black leather mouth gleaming with scalpel teeth. "Miss Potter," said Angus, touching his cap, "'tis a pleasure to see you again." Miss Potter actually went pink. I'm
Yeah?
getting frustrated. Oh.
What's the question? Oh my goodness, what's the question?
Nutrient, that packet, with 20 plus things of
Yes, that was from back a lot.
one.
They're nasty. They're not. I actually had one. They're not very tasty.
But they look healthy though.
Yeah. Mom, what, you want me to take like a whole handful of them?
Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm not going back to Bacalac.
Oh, you're not going back? No.
They're not good. They're like gross. It tastes like drinking vitamins, like actual like like flavored vitamins. Like it has strawberry on it, but I had a full one of those and it was very gross.
That's 20 plus servings of fruits and veggies though.
If it's telling the truth. But so is taking other vitamins. It's like,
No, but it's not vitamins, it's fruits and veggies.
how do you think you fit fruits and veggies into a powder? Do you think they grind it
Yeah,
down?
because there's that other stuff that they sell in the pill form that's expensive. You should be. Well, if you want to go back, then you should get more.
Okay,
What do they sell them?
I'll keep that in mind. I don't know. The Backlash makes it for a bunch of different companies. But that's not the one product they make there. They make like tons of products.
Okay.
That's just one of the things that were offered that day. And everyone got two. I drank one. You can have the other one.
Okay.
It was nasty. It was really not good.
Okay. Well, if you guys don't like them, I mean, maybe you want to.
I'll take it. Good night. Sorry.
It's okay.
Mother was wondering about. We went to. Oh, we had a surprise shoot today, so.
Oh.
Yeah, so we went to a vitamin factory, or not a vitamin factory, a big vitamin. I mean, I guess it really is just a vitamin factory. Anyway, it was huge, and it stinked. It stanked. It had like a bunch of dietary supplements. The vanilla room smelled nice, but we went into one where they were making like dog protein tablets. It smelled so... Amanda was gagging. It was so nasty. Anyway,
Yeah.
please.
I would be so... Yeah, I would feel probably ill.
Yeah, it was gross. Sorry, you can continue your story now.
Okay. Miss Potter, said Angus, touching his cap. 'Tis a pleasure to see you again. Miss Potter actually went a little pink. Mr. Angus, I didn't think I'd see you so soon. You two met then. Come to think of it, Angus hadn't been complaining about the lack of occupation lately, but I had been too distracted to pay attention. Oh yes, Mr. Angus was kind enough to hold my umbrella at just the right angle the other day, while I painted a particularly fine Amanita phalloides. I was trying to come up with a joke about phalloides that would not end with Miss Potter hitting me with her umbrella, when Denton cleared his throat and called us back to reality. I'm making the first incision, he said. Wait. Miss Potter looked around the room, found a stack of linen napkins, and hastily handed them around. Cover your nose and mouth and nose. If there are spores, and this is indeed a dangerous fungus, we do not wish to inhale them. I nodded the napkin around my head. Denton muttered something about feeling like he was about to rob a stagecoach, then took up the scalpel again. We watched in silence as the blade parted fur and skin, then cut deeper. Okay, she's crying.
When isn't she crying in this game?
I just heard her moaning for a second. It was hard to tell what might be hyphae. The ligaments that connect skin to flesh are also pale and very fine. But once he opened up the chest with shears, it became clear that something had been very wrong with the hair. Slimy felt, said Angus, like the blood. Begging your pardon, ma'am. Like the blasted fish. Denton touched the matted surface gingerly with the tip of his scalpel. It did indeed look as if something was adhering to the surface of the organs, something slimy and fibrous, though it was dark, reddish color instead of the brilliant white of the hyphae on Madeline's arms. The red stuff looked almost like the seaweed you see dried along the rocks on the coast, forming a sticky membrane over everything. The animal is female, said Denton dispassionately. And if it were human, would it be diagnosed with hysterical catalepsy, I thought? Miss Potter took out her magnifying glass and bent over the animal. If being 6 inches from the animal's viscera troubled her, she gave no sign. Fungal, she confirmed. Would that be enough to kill it? I asked. There is no way of telling, she said, folding the magnifying glass back into its case. We know nothing about this fungus, about its malignancy, about how long it would take to grow to this extent. Some molds can spread incredibly quickly, and this hair has presumably been dead for some time. Looked like it drowned, volunteered Angus. If it drowned, presumably its lungs are full of water. Oh wait, no, that's the American, sorry. Denton said, drawing the scalpel almost absently across the left line. The tissue retracted, and the contents bulged out in a sticky white mass. It looked like cotton wool erupting from the chest cavity, as if it had been packed in too tightly to contain. Denton jerked back with a curse. I will go out on a limb, and say that's not normal for drowning. Good God, said Denton. He opened up the other lung, and the white woolen mat of fungus bulged out there too. He grabbed a fork off the table and began digging around. I felt my gorge rise. I've field-dressed any number of animals, and I don't mind guts, but this was something else again. Denton shook his head slowly, setting the fork down. The lungs are packed with it. That's not possible. Lungs aren't hollow, they're like a honeycomb. But this stuff got in, and it looks like it just ate the interior away somehow. A warm, moist growth medium is very conductive to the growth of many, many fungi.
I should have saved her.
Yes, but it can't possibly have lived. The animal moved. There were 3 veterans at the table, battle-scarred soldiers who had served their countries honorably in more than one war, and all 3 of us screamed like small children and recoiled in horror. The hare kicked twice, not seeming to care that its guts were open to the air, and managed to roll itself over. Angus flung himself in front of Miss Potter. I flung myself backward in my chair, knocking it over and taking me with it. This proved to be providential, because Denton flung his scalpel aside and would have speared me handily with it if I hadn't been on my back on the floor. By the time I was upright, the hair was crawling along the table, leaving a broad pink smear across the tablecloth. Denton was in horror, in the corner, quivering, and Angus looked dazed. Miss Potter flipped her umbrella around and pinned the hair in place with the tip. Gentlemen, I will hold it in place if one of you would like to kill it. Again. Moving almost mechanically, I reached into Denton's bag and pulled out a heavy blade that looked like kin to a meat cleaver. The hair twitched and paddled its feet against the tablecloth. The thin taste of bile coated my tongue. One solid chop with the cleaver severed the hare's spine, and it fell limp. I did not stop until the body had fully detached from the head. And even then I might have kept going, but Angus took the cleaver away from me. It's done. It isn't, said Miss Potter. The head's still moving. I looked at the head pinned under the umbrella and saw the mouth opening and closing, the chisel teeth catching in the tablecloth, and then my gorge rose and I turned and went to the privy. When I was empty of even the memory of food, I dragged myself back to the drawing room. They had thrown the tablecloth over the twitching hair and wrapped it into a featureless ball. Denton was as wide as the linen napkin over his face as he stood repacking his bag. The fungus grew in greatest concentration at the top of the spinal column, he said, in a distant, precise voice. It had completely wrapped the vertebrae there and intruded into the skull. But severing the spine killed the body, I said. The image of Madeline's corpse, her head bent, intruded behind my eyes. No! He slammed it at me. That hair has been dead for days. Whatever that thing is, it was moving around like a puppet. All we did was cut the main strands. Nor would I say cut. She sounded the promise of or very frank to have some content inside extraordinary. I suspect that if we left the specimen alone long enough, it would regrow the connections and begin to move again. Christ's blood. I put my head in my hands. The dead don't want, except sometimes when they do. Madeline, don't. Denton nearly shouted the word. After a moment, he said, let's get rid of this thing. I can't think about the other. No. Throw it in the lake, then? I said.
Oh no.
What the hell?
Stand up.
Cannot be.
We're in rat hell right now. Oh my god.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey,
I'm waiting.
Okay. Yes, you are, Hugo.
come here.
Well, the macula is taking over his mind.
There is nothing here for you.
This is home. This is.
Stop!
Uh-oh.
You're coming with me, whether you want to or not. You hear me? He's coming with me! You made it so angry. They're coming.
You made it so angry. Ew.
Okay, this is so fucking weird. Anyway.
Quick, no, no,
I do not recommend that, Lieutenant. If it comes in contact with the water supply, it could infect anyone who drinks the water. Angus's mustache said. So did the rest of them. Miss Potter, he said quietly. It's in the lake already. It's in the fish.
This is so bad.
All our drinking water comes from the lake. All of us. The three of us have been drinking it and bathing in it for days. Weeks for me, said Denton. Miss Potter, to her credit, did not recoil in horror from it. She nodded once, slowly, then said, "Then I am afraid, gentlemen, that there is a chance that all of you have contracted it already." Denton nodded to himself. I looked down at him, picturing the skin of the fabric with its fine. Bless you.
Thank you.
I am sorry.
Thank you.
We'll burn it, I said, grabbing the bundle of cloth. I fancied I could feel a quiver of motion inside. Angus, bring the lamp oil. The stable yard was empty, the horses tucked away in their stalls. Oh God, was the foul stuff inside Hob too? Had I killed him by bringing him here? We passed through it, to the ragged garden, to the burn pile. It was pitifully small. Every scrap that could be used to heat the house had already been scavenged. I dropped the tablecloth and its contents onto the darkened paving stones, and Angus emptied one of the lamps over the cloth, then knelt and lit it. We stood shoulder to shoulder around it in a semicircle, close enough to feel the heat of the flame, unwilling to leave until the beast had been reduced to ash. Occasionally, Angus would stir it with a stick, and we used Roderick's lamp oil recklessly to finish the job. It was thus some time before we had finished, and the evening was drawing in. When we turned back to the house, Miss Potter's startled cry froze us all. What is that light? Sickly greenish radiance haloed the near end of the house. It was faint enough that perhaps we would not have seen it if the sky had been brighter. But against the darkness, it stood out in sharp relief. A fire, said Denton, although not as if he believed it. A
Yes.
chemical fire? We had only to go a little way before the edge of the turn came into view, and that answered the question while raising many new ones. The lake was glowing. It was the same thing I had seen days before, the pulsing lights that seemed to chase one another along the edges of unseen shapes, but far brighter than last time. The glow picked up the faint mist that had settled across the lake and turned it into a cloud of sickly light. The waters themselves seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, but far more rapidly than any human heart. I wondered how it compared to a hare's heartbeat, and then I looked around. Not too far away, its eyes lit with reflected green fire, a hare stood and watched.
No.
Angus,
The Count and Countess did.
I see it. The four of us went very slowly around the edge of the tarn. The lights grew brighter. The hare did not follow, and it was too dark to make out any others. My skin crawled with awareness.
Here.
At last, we stood before the causeway that led into the house.
My head.
Well,
Hugo.
said Mrs. Potter, gazing into the flickering water,
You are not
I can
in
tell you that
charge.
has not been recorded in the annals of mycology.
You obey me.
How do we destroy a fungus? I asked Miss Potter.
Me.
Quick, how does something like this die? She tore her eyes away from the lake and stared at me quickly. Antifungals? She said finally. There were woods with antifungal
It
properties. Some
hurts.
powders, hydrogen peroxide, perhaps. You don't know. I draw mushrooms, Lieutenant. I'm usually trying to keep them alive. I put my head in my hands. We used to treat foot fungus with alcohol in the army, said Denton. Have them soak their feet in it. Certainly that could work, but how much alcohol do you have available? Can you drown the full time? I've got a bottle of Livry, and presumably there's still a wine cellar, although it may be somewhat picked over. Miss Potter's expression indicated that the wine cellar was not going to work. Never mind, I said, watching the pulsing lights. Never mind. We'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. Angus, I want you to get Miss Potter away from here. Hey, Cobb, if you can get a wagon, leave him at the stable. And if any of us live, if Christ is spared, both our horses might be infected. I'll sort it, said Angus. I had no doubts. He'd made his entire career sorting logistics far more complicated than a couple of horses. Lieutenant, Miss Potter began, drawing herself up to her full height, which was taller than mine, and glared down at me. I assure you, I am not some shrinking violet who requires an escort to safety, lest I faint. Miss Potter, I said, I would never dream of suggesting it, but you are the only person who has the faintest idea of what scientifically we may be dealing with here, and who has any hope of explaining it to the authorities in a way that does not sound completely mad. And if there is an infection, or infestation, or whatever you call this, the authorities must be warned. Angus will go with you to make certain that you are taken seriously because, well, I leaned in and said in an undertone, you know what men are like when women try to tell them anything. Miss Potter's expression thawed. She sighed heavily and picked up her umbrella. You're not wrong there, Lieutenant. Very well. She gave the glowing tarn one last grim look. They vanished into the stable and emerged moments later. Miss Potter rode Hop, who seemed somewhat astonished, but who was on his very best manners. That's an English gentlewoman, I admonished him. Probably 15th in line to the throne. You be polite. More like 115th, said Miss Potter, a fact which gives me great comfort. She patted Hop's neck. Please take extremely good note on what happens with the late lieutenant. I do so hate to miss this. I shall make observations that will cause the Royal Mycology Society to tremble in their boots, I promised. Angus, watch for hares. Aye, and watch your own skin, youngster. I'm too old to break into another officer. They hurried away down the road as fast as they could safely move in the dark. I watched them go, then turned to Denton. Now what? He said, staring into the lake. The light show was beginning to wane, though flickers of light still went racing through the dark waters at intervals. All right, I said grimly. They're gone. Now we talk. I know her neck's been broken. Roderick, I assume? Denton inhaled sharply. How did you know? He asked. I went down to the crypt and looked. Ah, he grimaced. It wasn't murder, if that's what you mean. Well, it was, but it's not. That is. I need a drink. I'll pull him and tell me everything. I would have burned my last bottle of Livry in such a just cause, but fortunately Denton had his own brandy. His rooms did not look much different than mine, although he had no man to help him. Roderick called me in a month ago, he said, collapsing into a chair. It sent up a puff of dust and probably mold spores, but really, what was one more said at this point? For the catalepsy? Not exactly. He took a swig of brandy. It was the madness that concerned him. What madness was that? Denton groaned, got up, and fished through his belongings until he came up with a battered envelope. Here. No sense in playing 20 questions when you can just read it. I recognized Roderick's spidery handwriting as I unfolded the letter. He wasted no time on salutations. Denton. I need your help. There's something desperately wrong with Madeline. More than just the catalepsy that has afflicted her for some years. Since her near drowning, she has fallen under the spell of a strange madness, one that leaves her speaking in ways entirely unlike herself. She will be entirely herself one morning, and then by afternoon I will find her speaking to the servants as if she is a small child. She points at things, and asks for their names, and seems astonished. Her voice is very strange. When I confront her, she will revert immediately to her old self, but she acts very strange and sly, saying that it was merely a moment of muddle-headedness. What she is doing is frightening the servants. Worst of all, I have heard someone speak this way before, that it was Alice, her maid, who spoke in such fashion. I would overhear them sometimes in Madeline's room. At the time I thought Alice was doing impressions to make her laugh. You will think me quite deluded, Denton, but when I hear this voice she speaks in, I begin to think of stories of demonic possession, not of illness. It is very terrible to witness. I know that you are a man of reason, and I strive to be, though this dreadful estate has acted badly on my nerves. Please, I beg of you, if there is any kindness in your heart left for either of us, come and help me. The signature was Roderick's. I read the letter twice, remembering the strange way that Madeline had spoken that night I found her sleepwalking, the way that she had counted. Not Maddie, she'd said. If she wasn't Maddie, who was she?
What the?
Good.
Close to me.
Oh shit.
What the
There's
fuck?
rats.
Where the fuck did these rats come from? Oh, screw it. I have no idea what happened there. Well, sorry.
You don't believe in possession, of course, I said, looking up. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio. But no, I don't believe in that particular one. He paused, then said very quietly, didn't believe in that particular one. And now? Denton shook his head. I don't know what I believe anymore. When I spoke to Madeline, she was exactly as she had always been, until she wasn't. Explain. I can't, not rationally. She seemed to undergo some kind of mental shift, and then her speech changed. Not like anything I'd seen before. He stared at the ceiling. Slurred speech with aphasia, which is about as useful a diagnosis as catalepsy. Most of us get that when we're drunk, for God's sake. I'm a cut-rate surgeon, Easton. I chop off limbs. I'm not an alienist. He scowled. I told you that she almost drowned, yes? I nodded, and he continued. Roderick thought, and I begin to agree, that there was nothing almost about it. He told me that she had been in the water for hours when he found her. I stared at him, willing the words to make sense, and couldn't. What? I thought he'd lost it, said Denton bluntly. Time slows when you panic, of course. He pulled her out and thought it was much too late, so he took her to the crypt and sobbed over her half the night. I swallowed. And she woke up and began speaking to him in that voice he found so upsetting.
Yes.
How was that possible? Could she really have drowned? I didn't know why I was asking when I had seen the hair twitching, but hairs are not the same as humans, are they? Denton shook his head. Drowning is strange, he admitted. People come back sometimes long after you think they were gone. Particularly when they've been in cold water. That's what I told Roderick anyway, when he insisted she had been in the water more than a few minutes. He sat back in the chair. And I went on believing that Madeline was just groggy from waking up after a fright, and Roderick had panicked and believed she was in the water for longer than she was. And it was after this that she began to manifest this otherness. Denton nodded again. I thought the drowning had little to do with it. It seemed more likely that it was the result of the suicide of her maid. They were close. Perhaps she was trying to keep a game they had played alive somehow. And now? He snorted. Now it's obvious, isn't it? It's this fungus. It's causing this altered state somehow. First in the maid, then in Madeline. Perhaps it's a hallucinogenic effect of some sort, or perhaps simple poisoning.
Even after what he's done.
Why kill her? It was a measure of how far I had come that I could ask the question without any particular condemnation. Roderick says he didn't mean to kill her, but the thing that had taken over her body. So the fungus got into her from the lake, and now it's affected her, made her act this way. So it would seem. Denton's face was bleak. After a moment he said tonelessly, after he killed her, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on, but Roderick said it was evil, and it was devouring Maddie, and God have mercy on me, I can't say he was wrong. I thought of Maddie's smile that night, the flat-eyed rictus, and the way that I recoiled from it. Evil might not be the right word, but I could see how Roderick had come to it. So you covet for him. Yes, I know it was wrong, but he lifted his hands and let them drop. He's dying too. I can't imagine him lasting much longer in this state. All right. I tried to formulate the words that had to be spoken, and then drain my brandy instead. I would have liked to get extremely drunk. I would have liked to get on a horse and ride away as fast as its hooves would carry me. But Hob was gone, and Angus with him. Both Denton and I knew the truth, but saying the words would make it real. Dear God, how I wanted it not to be real. I set the tumbler down and took a deep breath. Madeline's like the hair now, I continued grimly. That's why she's not on the slab. This thing is moving her around. I don't know how long we sat there after that, drinking our courage. Too long, probably, but sooner or later you have to act or resign yourself to not acting at all. We have to find her body, I said, rising from my chair. She must still be in the crypt, said Denton. Surely it can't move her very far. I stared at him and realized that he had not seen the hairs in the terrible rafting crawl, only the one on the table who had managed a few feet before being stabbed. I think perhaps we can do a bit more than that, I said. Denton picked up the bottle and drained it dry. We can't let Roderick see her like this. We'll have to burn the body. I nodded and picked up a lamp. So did Henry. I still had my pistol, but what good would shooting these clips do?
Oh, Henry's in chat.
Oh.
Hi, Henry. So right now,
I was reading a book.
Tara's reading a book about fungi.
Yeah, but I'll stop.
No, you don't gotta stop. Just fill Henry in.
Really?
I mean, to your best ability. You are a teacher, after all.
Ugh. It's a story about fungus. No, it's a story based on Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. It's like a retelling. No, I'm gonna stop reading for now because it's too much and it's literally shit's happening right now and it would be too much to explain.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hi, is it Henry or Harry?
Henry.
Hi, Henry.
Henry says The Fall of the House of Mushroom.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I actually think I don't know this original story of the Fall of the House of Usher, so this is brand new story for me, and I don't know how closely related it actually is. But the book is called "What Moves the Dead," and yeah, it's very good. It's like creepy. It's about fungus that like infects you. Well, it doesn't infect you, but it like obviously you get like fungus and then this particular fungus, it like kills you, but it also keeps you alive after you've died. And there's some weird paranormal shit going on.
It's a little like The Last of Us.
It's kind of a long story. Literally. It's not that long.
Go away, big scary knight, with your big stupid ball. Oh, I can knock his armor off? Should I try it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Found us.
Do you think you can get away with this?
Yes.
Been spotted. Intruders here.
Oh no!
Way too long to get in that bush. Run, Hugo, run, Hugo, run, Hugo,
Oh,
run.
dead end!
This is all your fault!
You'll never catch me.
They're hiding back there. Let's take care of them. Intruders here.
Where's Lucas? Henry says, it's a short story, so it ain't too long to read. A lot of interesting parts of the story is to question the integrity of the narrator and pretty much what anyone has to say as the truth of The Fall of the House of Usher.
Have you read it? Or are you just reading like a Wikipedia page?
She doesn't trust you, Henry.
Or did you write that?
Oh, they lost me. How did I pull that off?
Okay, well there's one right there and he's gonna see you in a second. Get
No,
back in
he
that book.
ain't. Oh, no, he ain't.
Oh, wait. No. Oh, no, he ain't. Oh, no, you ain't.
Henry says, I read it a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yep. Oh, mama.
So, okay, so can I tell you what the story is about then, and you can tell me how closely it is? I'm gonna do it. A soldier from this fictional country named Galatia gets a letter from a close, like, war comrade, from war comrade's sister saying he's very ill
They're upon us.
and she thinks she's dying, and so he goes to their estate, and the estate is like, first of all, it's really unsettling. It's dark. There's like a lake right next to the house. It's like it's like eerie, and it doesn't really reflect anything. And the soldier is like really heebie-jeebied out, and the family is very, very poor, but they inherited this estate from like a distant relative, and so they just are kind of stuck with this place, but they are so poor that they can't like take care of it. It doesn't matter. So this guy shows up, the soldier, and his comrade. He's like sickly looking and with like wispy hairs, and the sister is even worse, and she's the one that's like dying or whatever, and she's got like weird afflictions. Like she has like catalepsy half the day, and the other half of the day she seems somewhat normal, but like there's something seriously wrong. And so our main character is just kind of perplexed by the whole situation, and he tries to get them to come with him, but the sister is so sick that she can't travel, and the brother doesn't want to abandon her, so they're like stuck there. And there's also a doctor there. He's an American. He's not really a doctor. He just like cut off a bunch of people's limbs in the war, so they just call him a doctor. And so he's there to try to help the situation, but there's really nothing that he can do. And they, long story short, they basically find out that there's this fungus in the area that's been infecting basically the animals and the flora and fauna, that's making them like kind of rot and behave in very strange ways. And the sister, we find out, like actually fell in the lake like stuff like maybe a few months before. And now we're coming to find out that, she probably, it's not good living there already because there's just so much fungus literally fucking everywhere. It's like in the house, it's in the walls, it's like in fucking everywhere.
Kill him. I'll kill all of them.
And that's what's causing it, and things like don't die. So
The dead don't die.
rabbit actually, yeah, the dead don't die. The dead don't walk, but they do. So that's where we're at. There's also like kind of I know that there's going to be kind of a twist at the end too, because it looks like, the sister did eventually die, and so they had like a funeral and everything, but then our main character, he gets kind of sus, and he's like, I don't know, the brother, his comrade, has been acting weird like ever since she died, so he's thinking like, does he know something that we don't? Like, why is he looking behind him? She's dead. She's in the crypt. He's saying he thinks he hears her walking around still. Shit's weird. I'm gonna go down there and just check the body. Like, I know this sounds crazy, I'm just gonna go down there and
Henry
check.
replied, he said,
Yeah?
so from what you're saying, it's pretty much the same story except for the reason to why they're sick.
Oh.
So it's the House of Usher meets the Last of Usher.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Last of Usher.
Yeah. Oh, you get spores. You get lots of spores and things.
Dude, I love the video game Spore. Sorry, gamer moment.
Andrew, get cultured.
Sorry.
Christ's blood.
Sorry.
Up we go.
Very well.
Yeah. Anyway, he goes down to the crypt and like she's got like all these like wispy hairs on her, and turns out it's not hair; it's actually fungus. Also, her neck has been like completely snapped. So he's like, "Wait, hold on, hold the fucking telegram. What's this? Someone fucking killed her."
Are you serious? I'm 2 pieces short of being able to afford this. God dang it. I mean, not like that one really matters. Honestly, the alchemy one might be the best one. I think I'm just gonna do this one.
Yeah. Do what you think.
Henry says the original story is a commentary on aristocracy, and it's like hinted at the reason why there's 6 is a long family history of inbreeding.
Yikes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's even creepier than whatever this is.
Then fungus?
No, the inbreeding, like
Oh.
aristocracy inbreeding, and how it's like completely just kills a family. Like that's disturbing as fuck.
We read a book about that.
You and I did? Oh yeah. It's not about aristocracy though. It's literally just about a fucked up person.
Yeah. Look up Gone to See the Riverman.
Don't read that book. That is literally... That book made me sick to my stomach.
It was a very disturbing book.
Andrew, so, like, a couple years ago, when I first got back into reading, like, regularly, and Andrew got inspired, and he's like, I want to read a book with you. And I was like, okay, you pick one. And he picked Gone to See the Riverman. Okay?
Based off of a recommendation from someone who said it is one of the most disturbing books he's ever read. And I'm like, I could use that.
Of all of the books you could have picked up, like, for your first book, you picked that one. Like, you didn't start off with, like, a warm-up. You started off with, literally, like, just stomach-churning, incest horror. Gore. Incest gore, basically, is what that was.
Henry says you should read The Perfume by Patrick Suskind. What's that one about? So Gone to See the Riverman was really fucked up. I was intrigued though. There are parts of it though that are just like so devastating. Yeah. Where it's just like, oh my god, how does this get any worse? There was a lot of Gone to See the Riverman. I was like, how does this situation possibly get worse? And it does. For what it's worth, I enjoyed Gone to See the Riverman up until it got like a little bit too silly for its own good.
Well, with like the walking man in the woods, like there was that guy in the woods, and that she came across, and we don't really know who that was. And then also the Riverman was like. Then when she finally met the Riverman, I was like, oh, this is like. There's like magic in this.
It was straight up supernatural at that point,
yeah.
and I wasn't really there for it.
Okay, this is getting a bit. Before it was just like incest. This girl that like was obsessed with a serial killer and corresponded with him while he was in prison.
I mean, I guess.
Seriously disturbed woman. Seriously fucked up woman. Oh, by the way, she also severely handicapped her own sister and brought her around with her like a dog.
Yeah, so like she handicapped her sister because her sister found out that
she had sex with her brother.
Yeah.
She was abusing her brother. Ew,
yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Ugh. Don't read it. It's not pleasurable. It's not even like for me personally, like I couldn't even I found no enjoyment reading that.
I was kind of, I wouldn't say enjoying it. I would say I was kind of like waiting on how much more crazy this could get. That's kind of like.
I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much. Oh yeah, they murdered that one guy that helped them. He had like a cabin in the woods, like on the bayou, and he was that really friendly black guy. And he lent them their boat to go up the river to meet the riverman. And then for some reason they killed him. They like pushed him into the river or some shit. Or the girl did, at least. I don't remember why.
We're saving our dude right now. Yeah, I think he's probably telling me. Henry hasn't responded in a while, so I think he's typing up what the perfume is about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put this. Oh, he knocked it out of the way.
He's yours.
Kill that girl! Oh, ah! Leave me alone! Ah, he hit my rock away.
I need more water.
Ah!
This. Your turn.
Beach ass. Oh, Henry got back. Well, when Tara gets back, I'll read that.
Hang on, Amicia. You're doing it. Yes.
What's that?
Henry got back. He said, "It is the story of a boy who is very ugly but has a very good sense of smell. He ends up getting really enamored by scents to the point of killing people. He becomes a master perfumer, learns the trade beyond anyone of his time, gets bored, decides to live in a cave for a decade or so, leaves the cave, goes on a killing spree to steal the scents off his victims, and makes an ultimate perfume with it that makes everyone go into a frenzy, seeing him as an angelic being, which they then cannibalize. He says, the story is better than how I described it, but those are the big things that I remember." Why in particular did you...
That sounds like an acid trip.
Why in particular did you recommend that one, Henry? I'm just curious.
If we're talking about the most fucked up books we've ever read, that sounds pretty fucked up.
Yay, I'm so good at this. He says, just kind of enjoyed it. It's well written.
I probably would have liked that more than Riverman, but it's not something that I normally go for.
Don't! They won't have you, Hugo, I promise!
I love how Amicia's like, you don't have to think of killing people, as I'm like killing like tens of men.
Yeah, it doesn't really...
Henry,
hypocritical.
he says, I read it in both French and English. The original is German, I think.
Are you Canadian?
He is. Henry is a French Canadian.
Right, right.
Oh my god.
But don't let the French part fool you. He's quite a nice guy.
You're not a snob. I work with a French Canadian. Her name is Sophia. She's our ultrasound tech. And I love the way she says, tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
She speaks French too. Merci beaucoup. I can't not say it like that. Merci beaucoup.
No, Hugo,
It's probably so annoying.
Uh-oh, Hugo's about to rat these guys.
Oh.
Bloody hell.
Christ blood.
Ooh, an arrow. Hugo. Sorry, I'm collecting arrows.
Look at that corpse there.
it's
That was pretty burnt up.
Did it, Hugo?
Yep.
Henry says, "Kid, someone rat out of the ground? Rat hand out of the ground?"
That's Friana, right?
Yeah, that was his big rat hand.
Please.
That was his finishing move. One of his finishing moves.
Yeah, that's his final smash.
Mortal Kombat.
Come on.
We kind of betrayed him, like, very badly.
Says it was his.
Who was that?
That was the soldier that we were working with for, like, half the game before we, like, totally betrayed him for no reason.
The one that had the ship or no? That was someone else.
Well, yeah, it was her ship, but she lent it to him.
Go come
Well,
somewhere.
But we got to this island, and then they, like, put him in jail, and he was like, "Why?"
And your
And they were like, "We don't know him."
Come back.
We must go. Now.
I see.
I'm so bad
I'll take it
at
from here.
following this storyline. Like, it's so all over the
You're-
place and doesn't make sense.
You're not to blame. It's the story is literally all over the place.
She's never coming back.
I know.
Their mom died, Henry.
I wanted to tell her.
For real this time.
Yeah.
They thought she was dead twice, but she's actually for real dead this time.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Everything.
Henry, I got accosted by a potentially homeless woman.
You are her greatest gift. She loved you the way you are.
I was accosted.
She made you.
Technically assaulted you.
Henry says, "I keep forgetting I'm not in a call with you."
We will live. And we will heal.
Is this the end of the game? Please.
The scars? We keep them so that we don't forget. So that we can accept. Until they don't hurt anymore.
Missy has like no hair anymore.
Yeah, she has a fade. She does.
She's got a fade, and then the guy chopped off like her big ponytail.
Oh, look, another chapter.
Oh my god, with this game.
Chapter 14?
Yeah. Rat tails, tails of the rat.
Lucas!
Lucas, we're back on the ship,
I
Lucas.
thought we'd never get back.
Not all of us did.
Yeah, Lucas aged down in this game. His
Yeah.
voice dropped, but he aged down.
Henry says I'm gonna head out, have fun gaming. All right,
Alright, bye.
see you later. If you'd like to continue your story, Tara.
Au revoir.
Come talk if you want.
All right. Fresh air.
Okay, so where were we? We have to find her body, I said, rising from my
I
chair.
don't want to wake up after this.
She must still be in the crypt, said Denton. Surely it can't move her very far. I stared at him, then realized that he had not seen the hairs in their terrible ratcheting crawl, only the one on the table who had managed a few feet before being stopped. I think perhaps it can do a bit more than that, I said.
Hey.
Denton picked up the bottle and drained it
Is
dry.
that well?
We can't let Roderick see her like this. We'll
I
have to
woke
bring
up
the
thinking I
body.
was dead.
I nodded and picked up a lamp. So did Denton. I still had my pistol, but what good would shooting Maddie's corpse do? It hadn't stopped there. The crypt steps were cold and dark, and both Denton and I were
She had
jumping.
a house.
Every movement of the lamps made the shadows flicker, and whenever one loomed too large, we both recoiled.
That's where we'll
You
get
think we were a pair of children, not soldiers? I muttered. Denton mumbled something under his breath that I didn't quite catch. A dozen steps from the bottom, I stopped. Denton nearly ran into my back. I lifted the lamp high, revealing the crypt door. The unbarred crypt door. The door that was now ajar. Why did you stop? Whispered Denton. The door's open. Did you close it before? I thought I had. I hadn't barred it, though. Why bar a door to women who could Roderick have gone in?
You saved our lives.
Roderick shouldn't even be able to get up to piss in the pot, said Denton. He paused and then questioned me. Of course, I've been nothing but wrong since the beginning, so my medical opinion isn't worth a plug nickel. I wondered what the hell a plug nickel was, but it didn't seem like the time to ask. I went down the last few steps and pushed the door aside.
Still the
The
same.
slab was still empty. Maddie? I called. The echoes rushed through the room like birds, and I could hear my voice ringing faintly down the corridor on the far side of the crypt, into the catacombs where generations of ushers were
Growing up,
smoldering.
you
No answer. I listened for any sound at all. Rustle of winding claws, the sound of a body dragging itself along one limb at a time.
We'll slow things
Nothing.
down from now on.
She isn't here, I said.
We'll take all the
She's gotta be.
time
I said, you can't tell me she made herself scared.
soon.
Why not? A suspicion had been forming in the back of my brain for hours now, and I had been fighting it down. If I didn't put it into words, I could pretend I was thinking it at all. Because she's dead. And it's a fungus, not a, he groped for words. It's a glorified mushroom. Maybe it can make a body flail around, but that's all. She must have just rolled off the slab. I lifted the lamp, splashing light in the corners of the room. Look around, Denton. Do you see her? He strode forward, rounding the slab, clearly expecting to there.
Changed.
I would have been offended that he thought Miss Potter and I could have missed a corpse, but I had a feeling that he had thoughts of his own that he was trying to avoid. Not finding a body, he went all the way around the slab again, then took a few steps toward the corridor deeper into the catacombs. Then he stopped, clearly thinking better of it. Are you certain you closed the door? He asked. Yes, the bar I might have forgotten, but we would have closed the door. I raised my hand. I know doors are too complicated for a fungus to figure out, but here we are.
Is he
Must have been Roderick, or one of the servants. Your man Angus, you told him.
alright?
It was not Angus. A servant, then.
Are you
I just looked at him. He growled and stalked back to the corridor, lamp in hand. I went after him, not wanting him to vanish into the depths of the catacombs alone.
Good catch.
What if Madeline is in there? Waiting. I looked down and stopped short with a hiss.
I'm
What?
sorry for
Denton turned, the flame reflecting an orange pinprick in his eyes. Look at the floor.
everything.
Look at that dust. It had been years since the dust of the corridor was disturbed, perhaps decades. I could not remember how long it had been since Roderick's father died. It lay in a thick carpet across the floor. 2 lines of footprints stood out in stark relief. Someone with small feet had shuffled through here not long ago. Their feet had dragged along the floor, leaving smeared lines, but every few feet the imprint of bare toes was unmistakable. Then they had come back the other way. Denton swallowed convulsively.
Coming fast.
You see,
Someone came
that's
this way.
the thing with war.
Someone, yes, and then came back. I took a step back toward the main crypt. Gratitude flashed across his face, and then the two of us rushed back the way we had come. We did not run. If we ran, then we would have to admit there was something to run from. If we ran, then the small child that lives in every soldier's heart knew that the monsters could get us. So we did not run, but it was a near thing. The door was still open. The floor here was too overwritten with too many footprints to hold any clues as to who had gone where. I went to the crypt door, trying to think. Heavy wood, with ornate iron scrollwork, as gothic as the rest of the damn manor. Madeline had been a little shorter than I was. If she had reached out to the door... Denton? What? I pointed silently. Next to the iron ring, just where someone's arm would fall if they leaned their weight against the door, was a metal cross. Cut along the edge were a dozen fine white hairs. I expected Denton to argue, to tell me that it must have been the shroud brushing against the door, but he stared at the white hairs for a long, long moment, and then he breathed out all at once and squared his shoulders. I see. She walked into the catacombs by herself, and walked out again later, and had done so on 2 feet and operated the door. He nodded once, not taking his eyes off the door. Denton, I think we must face the possibility that Madeline is... I struggled for a word and finally settled on conscious. It's impossible, he said almost casually. But that hasn't stopped anything so far, has it? Why is it impossible? Because she's dead, and mushrooms are conscious. Suppose she isn't dead. No, listen to me. You said people go sometimes, and they come back long after they should have been dead, yes? Hours after, not days. Suppose the fungus kept her alive. It lived in water, yes? So it can survive drowning. What if it did something, so that it's supposed to survive too? Denton finally did look at me, opening his mouth, then closed it again. I could practically see him thinking it through. Brains die from lack of oxygen, he said slowly. If this fungus could somehow provide oxygen...
What the hell?
...to the brain, what happened?
What the fuck?
Oh, brother.
The ship is in pieces! What? This game literally never ends.
Honestly, I'm starting to think that they're the plague, because everywhere they go, it gets destroyed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Don't worry. I won't rest until this bastard's dead.
Yes, alright. It's a damn fool notion, and I shouldn't believe it for a second. But if it's already in the brain system, why not? Madeline wakes up a few days after her neck is broken. She gets up and walks into the catacombs. Miss Potter and I come down and then leave, and she comes back to the crypt and finds the door unbarred. She opens it, and it goes out. I gestured up the steps. Which means she's somewhere in the house. Denton sounded amused, but I recognized it as the humor that men get when they see the line of cannons pulled into position. Yes, of course the enemy has cannons. Why wouldn't they? Oh, and we're out of bullets. Huh. Oops. Where would she go? Where do you think? I started up the stairs. Where would you go if somebody broke your neck? She'd go off to Roderick. This time, we did run. We pounded up the stairs. Denton led the way to Roderick's chambers. Our bouncing lamps filled the halls with shadowy giants. If we weren't careful, we'd spill the oil and burn the whole damn place down. The upper hall was already lit, not by candles, but by a pale, sickly light through the window at the end of the hall. Christ, it was dawn already. How long have we sat drinking and trying to get our minds around this? How long have we spent in the crypt? How long had Madeline been alone with her helpless brother? Roderick's door opened outward into the hall and stood ajar now. Denton and I shared one frantic glance, and then both of us tried to jam ourselves through the door simultaneously. What happened?
Amicia got shot in the stomach.
You killed her.
Well, there's no rats to save us now.
Hugo, come here!
Oh no. No, no, no.
Sorry, child. The rats can't help you here.
Oh, he literally just judo chopped him. I read to learn that.
All right. You've won. Don't hurt him. Hurt him.
We don't know if Amicia is dead, but like,
He's Emily's son. My son. He's a god. He's our doom, Victor. You need to let him go. To his sister. No. I owe this to Emily.
This is like a Shakespearean play at this point.
I know.
Wasn't just blood.
I'm gonna keep reading.
Sorry, keep going.
That I could throw a blanket over these flames. the truth is, people like us, we are born to feed that fire.
I was marginally faster, and so I was the one who burst into Roderick's room, pistol in one hand and lamp in the other, to find Madeline sitting on Roderick's bed. Her head was bent over at a terrible angle, neck horribly askew. She had to turn her whole body to face the door, while her head flopped sideways. She hitched up one shoulder to keep it partly upright, and something about that small gesture was so dreadful that it stopped me in my tracks. "Alex," she said. Her voice was shallow and breathy, as if she could not draw in much air. Were her lungs felted with fungus like the hair? Was it simply that her neck was broken? Didn't even matter? Madeline. Roderick was still lying on the bed, on his side. I could not tell if he was breathing. Had she killed him? And if she has, was it murder or simply justice? "Shooting me out too much," she whispered. Her hair was loose and fell over her eyes, white hair on bone-colored skin. When she lifted her hand to push it away, her fingers were violet black, and a long line ran down the underside of her arm. You see that in dead men sometimes, when the blood has pooled. Whatever the fungus was doing to her, Madeline's heart had stopped beating days ago. She coughed and her voice gained a little strength. "I suppose I wouldn't enjoy it, though." She smiled ruefully at me, and it was her familiar smile, the one I'd known since we were children. "Oh, God, Maddie," I said. I lowered the gun. "Did I really think I could shoot her? Oh, God, what's happened to you?" The broken necklace. A problem," she said musingly. "The torn had just been in my brain and my skin. Now Va had to throw up all the way down, past the break. It took days." She shook her head at me, flopping it from side to side. I could see the sharp angle of her windpipe, and nausea clawed at me. "Clever, Roderick. He never understood the time." Denton had come up beside me, his eyes on the bed. "Is Roderick alive, Madeline?" "I didn't kill him." She coughed again, and her head slipped off her shoulder, bouncing in time. I had to look away. When I looked back, she had reached up to her mouth and was tugging. Long white strands came out, and she wrapped them around her hand and let them fall carelessly in her lap. "There," she said, her voice stronger. "There, that's a little better. Va filled my lungs, you see, to save me, but now there's too much." She pushed her head back up onto her shoulder.
I'm so glad they're alive.
"Va? Who was she referring to like a child?" "The time. It's always been the time." Denton took a step forward. "May I examine Roderick?" he asked. It was the right thing to do, of course, but I was desperate to find out what Madeline meant, and why she was referring to the lake as one would a child. "Yes." Denton circled the bed as cautiously as if it contained an unexploded shell. Madeline ignored him. I wondered how fast she could move. I caught myself rubbing the trigger guard with my finger and stopped. Terrible habit. Angus would have yelled at me. "Maddie," I said, hoping to hold her attention. "What do you mean it's always been the time?" "Va's been reaching out for so long," she said wistfully. "Va could get into the animals. Va learned Vaughn's senses that way. I can't imagine that must have been like the first time. Think of it, if you had no sight, and not even the sense that sight existed. How would you get there? Hearing was easier. Va understood vibrations, and that's what hearing is. And Va already knew smell." She pointed to her eyes. "But how would you ever think that these two round sacks of jelly did anything? But the Tom figured it out." I swallowed. Behind Madeline, Denton gave me a thumbs up. Roderick was still alive, thank Christ. "You're telling me that the Ton is intelligent?" I said. She smiled up at me. "More than you or I are. Think of all Va's managed to learn." And Denton was tugging on Roderick's wrist, possibly trying to get him out of bed. "The Tarn talks to you? Communicates with you somehow?" Half of me thought that she'd gone mad. The other half pointed out that I was already having a conversation with a dead woman. Mushrooms don't think, yes, and the dead don't move either. "Speech was the hardest," said Madeline. She plucked another puff of Hyphae from her lips. "I had to teach Vaughn a kind of sign language at first. Vaughn didn't understand speech at all." She giggled again, the papery rasping giggle that set my teeth on edge, made even worse by the impossible of her windpipe. When you think about it, we talk by coughing up air and wiggling our lips to it. How could anyone ever understand that if you weren't born for it? But Var grasped it eventually. Breath moving hard, I thought, not Maddie. Maddie won, and me won. Oh god, it was the Tarn talking. She taught the fungus to talk. There had been clues in front of me, but how could I have possibly guessed the truth? How could I have known that when Maddie was moving the wall and the candle and counting, it was actually a vocabulary lesson? How could I possibly have known that she would treat the fungus like a child? Denton had gotten Roderick out of bed. The last male usher was groggy and leaned against Denton like a drunk. When he was moving, I heard him mumble a question and Denton shushed him. Madeline started to turn and I stepped forward hastily to distract her. You taught Van, the Tarn, how to talk? It worked. She beamed at me. Once Var realized we were using sound to communicate, Var almost taught Van himself. So smart. My maid and I. Var take over Alice and then I teach Van what I could. But then Alice killed herself. I think it too harder. A flash of something crossed her face. Jesus. What the fuck is that?
What is happening?
Are those rats?
It's a fucking rat nuke!
You took the boy to Marseille after what happened to your damn island? Shut up!
Okay.
I will take care of it.
She killed herself? She didn't understand. Madeline started to stand. One hand snaked out to grab the bedpost, almost as if it were disconnected from the rest of her. She didn't understand what Var was trying to do, and that her fool brother took her body away and burned it. Can you imagine? So she couldn't even come back. Fire stops it then, I thought, and a wave of unutterable relief passed over me. If it got into me, as long as Angus burned my body, it would be alright. The dead may walk, but I will not walk among them. But you understand these things. You can take over teaching the times. Var can't keep my body going much longer, I'm afraid. I'm starting to fray at the edges. Some things break down after a while. She smiled ruefully again and took a step forward. She moved like the hairs, and finally I understood. Maddie's control of her body stopped at the neck. Below the break, the Tarn was controlling her body like a puppet. I stood, frozen for far too long, watching her approach. Madeline, I said carefully, this thing, whatever it is, it's what's killing you, devouring you alive. I would not call the fungus Ra. Never that. It was a horror, and it had eaten my friend. I know, said Madeline. She dismissed this with a roll of her eyes. Of course Var did. He doesn't mean to. Var slowed the process as much as Var could. Var couldn't help but feel a little. Of course I died eventually. Denton and I looked at each other over her head. I hope my face was expressionless. His was not. You know that you are dead, I said. Madeline's smile was beatific. Easton, she said, as kindly as if I were a child. I've been dead for at least a month. The Tarn stretched out one of her hands and I recoiled. There were puffs of hyphae like cotton wool growing from under her fingernails, shockingly white against the bruised black skin.
Oh!
There we go. Knowing what I knew now. Christ's blood. At least fireworks. If I can get the lamp oil on her. No, this can't be nearly enough. It took so much to burn the hair. Oh god, her body's so wet. Denton was half leading, half carrying my bed. I eased myself a little more inside, trying to place myself between Madeline and the other two. How was that possible? You were breathing. You had a heartbeat. The time kept my heart beating as long as Var could. My body knew what to do. Var just had to give it the orders. But after Roderick broke my neck, the orders didn't travel anymore. She pushed her head upright again. What was I when I was alive? I was no use to anyone, least of all myself. I was a pretty doll for my mother to dress up and for men to look at. And then she died, and eventually I came here, where there were no men to look at me. And at last I found a purpose. She smiled up at me. There were white threads at the corners of her mouth, and when she spoke I could see flashes of her tongue coated in pale wool. I took another step back. Evil, Roderick had said. But it wasn't evil that I was seeing her. It was alien. A monstrous alien so far removed from what I understood that every fiber of my being screamed to reject it, to run, to get away. Tyrannix, she said, a line forming between her eyebrows. You understand, don't you? You have to understand. You have to help me save Van. Maddie, You have to. I could never help anything that killed you. Which sounded better than the real truth, which was that I wanted to shoot the thing she had become, and then burn the body and sow the field with salt. You're helping Roderick. Shame blossomed in my gut. She wasn't wrong. The taunt hasn't hurt anyone. Not deliberately. God doesn't feel pain, so how can God understand? Now Vaughn knows better. She, another step forward. It won't hurt now. And if I hadn't been so weak, the little bit Vaughn has to take to feed wouldn't have mattered. Denton had Roderick almost to the door now. Maddie, are you asking me to let that thing infect me? Not infect. She looked offended at the word. Just give Vaughn a home. Vaughn's like a child. Vaughn needs someone to care for Vaughn. And I know you'll protect Vaughn and stand up for Vaughn like you always did for me. She walked forward and I backpedaled. I had a gun and fire, and I was probably close to 100 pounds heavier, and still I retreated. Alex. Denton reached out and grabbed the back of my jacket. He hauled and I scrambled backward, and the last I saw of Madeline was the door slamming in her face.
Was that end of chapter?
No, I just needed a voice break.
Oh. I'm being chased endlessly by this guy whose path tracing is broken. What do I do about you?
Well.
Oh, she made me stinky. What do I do about this guy? Oh, I guess now he's distracted. I could do this. Oh, I actually didn't mean to do that. No!
Oh, great. Wait, she just got impaled. How is she okay?
She's gotten a concussion. She's gotten impaled.
I think this might be the last part. I mean, how many times can you fucking fight this guy? Oh, look at that.
Oh, okay.
What can I do?
Okay.
You can stop shouting.
That was... You could stop shouting. Could have told her that at the beginning of the game. I don't know what to do! Alright, calm down.
And you gave me quite the last run. He's a great boy.
Oh man, Arno deserved better. He's literally been like,
And
you know what, in prison and beaten and hurt, and we literally just got him out, and he immediately sacrificed because of us, and he sacrificed his life for us. Wait, Amicia and Hugo literally don't deserve any of this. They've literally brought pain and suffering onto everybody, and it's not like they're even like fantastic people. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, Hugo's cute, but he's a stupid little boy. Like, what is Amicia? She's just kind of like
It will kill the sun.
a melodramatic, ridiculous, like, once princess, wasn't she? She was literally a French princess.
You did it.
Yeah.
You Now we all owe.
She's kind of like a duchess.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. The rats will spread unchecked. This is his judgment.
Do we
Oh my god, enough, Lucas. Get out of there.
This is his judgment.
Let's just go.
Make room. I will take the reins. I have to do something.
Yeah, we also destroyed her ship. We killed Arno. Mom's dead. Lucas's like whole lineage is dead. We destroyed the whole town.
And Amicia's like physically perfectly fine.
Yeah. Amicia has. This is the beginning of Skyrim.
From us,
Not too far, I'd say. Amicia.
Amicia's been stabbed, beaten. Her shoulder and arm were broken. She just got shot in the stomach. Like,
You did all you could, and he knew it.
what the hell else could she do?
Gave him what he needed most.
It's too much.
Someone to care for. A real purpose. Yes, he gave his life for us. I won't let it be for nothing. Now we need to find out where Hugo is. That's the problem. Marseille's a damn big city.
the burst of
Wow. I'm thinking we should have just killed Hugo.
How do you know he's still alive?
There'll be signs. I hope.
So now we have to find Hugo, and then that will be the end?
I guess Hugo just set off the rat nuke.
That kind of sign?
Right.
It's him!
But I don't think it's a good sign.
God.
What's that noise? Is it coming from the city?
It's coming from the ground!
Wait, where did we find all these horses from?
I don't know where the gypsy probably just stole it, to be honest.
Tara!
Excuse me, what?
In Europe, that would be very offensive.
What's that damn rumble?
Dude, but this is what they did. This is sort accurate.
Gypsies still exist, you know.
Yes, I know. My mom lived in Spain, I know.
Aren't gypsies funny?
Yes.
You see the video of like the gypsies trapped in like that like garbage area?
Marseille. They're barricading the
So like they went to like dumpster dive and then they got locked in like a gated dumpster area and there were like 4 of them in there and they're just going That's a great video.
There's another gate further on, but that hay is in the way. Wait, we have this cannon.
But that hay is in the way. What the hell is this?
You push here. I've figured it out.
This game is just looking for reasons to do anything at this point. Wait, what? The hay is in the way?
Oh, fuck.
Greek fire. Yes, the Count recovered some carts built by the Order. So we're going behind these walls.
Don't think about it now.
Let's go, Sophia. Here we go again.
Holy God. The amount of fucking people. Dude, she is a fucking psycho.
She is. Die! Die! It's like Vietnam.
Oh, stop it. Let me alone.
This is Vietnam. Listen, this is the casualties of war.
Our punishment. What the hell? Foster Sophia,
Are you serious?
Rat tidal wave!
You're kidding me. Dude, if you actually showed this part to a historian and you were like,
This is what the plague was like.
is this
Me in 6th grade asking about the history of the plague.
I would be so pissed. Like, is this
Mrs.
what they're teaching kids?
Mrs. Shellhorn, do you remember your history teacher's name?
looks like it.
No, in middle school.
I have 3, so actually don't know any of them.
Oh wow, I remember mine. Michelle Horn. Oh!
You didn't have different teachers every year?
We did, yeah. Michelle Horn, Miss Mrs. Pernicio. Oh, Mr. Flo. Wow, I just searched my brain for that. So, by the way, she just got crushed by like a castle. Oh, don't tell me Sophia's gonna die now.
She'll probably die eventually, honestly.
Yeah. How did they survive that? They literally, a castle just fell on them.
We're here.
I've never been to Marseille. Oh, you came in the loveliest season. Let's go find my brother.
What were they on when they were writing this fucking story? And cut to the final battle. Oh, XVI.
King
16.
Hugo?
King Hugo.
King Hernando.
King Hernando. Oh, I'm just so weak.
And I thought you were unstoppable.
I'm not. I just forget it sometimes.
Shut up.
Lucas, I must say,
You are such an incel.
Mm,
you're the most
You need to have sex and...
hold on. Wait.
nice thing in the world.
I don't know. But, you're my family.
You're sharing all this.
Spoken like a true cock.
You all still have a lot to
Like
live,
a
so
sister
you'll
to
make
me.
it. This is a damn order.
Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say, you fucking incel. He's a volcel. He's a voluntary celibate. Sophia, you're my new mom that I met 2 days ago.
He must live.
No.
He deserves so much better than this. Now, just watch your step.
King Hernando. Don't touch his rats. Don't make him mad. He is a little evil boy.
They really look like an army. They are. Now that Hugo's become their leader.
It was always his favorite game. Conquering. Well, someone's dream came true. Alright.
Oh my god, she's just quipping. She's just quipping and dipping.
What do we have here?
Nice. Let's go. I can't wait to defeat my brother.
Hey. Look who survived.
Oh, a flower.
It's the first flower Hugo offered me. Just before we met you, Lucas.
Makes me feel old.
That flower is sure to put a smile on his face. Yes.
Did you know Mother's Day was started by a single lady who wanted to honor her mother for being like a really gracious woman? And it was like a gathering of white carnations or whatever. It was a big festival of white carnations. And I believe she
He's one with the macula now.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Going in there.
She rallied the government, she lobbied the government to make it an actual
Enough
like
fun, I guess.
state holiday or whatever, national holiday. And
Tell me we can stop
she got pissed when companies were trying to commercialize it, and she was like suing tons of companies.
Died.
Listen, I'll go. I'm the one who...
Amicia,
But then she died.
we need whatever connects him to this world.
As we all
We're
do.
all tied to him.
Just like in this game.
So,
Yes.
Don't call
So
my
let's
name, don't call my name.
King Hernando.
King Fernando.
What's about to happen?
Rat storm. Oh my god. Enough!
How much more can they survive? Oh my god! What the fuck? How many times is this going to happen? Where they get knocked out by something?
All of their bones should be broken. At this point.
Where's Lucas? So she just like hugged Lucas and said thank you. He's gonna be like stabbed.
No. It's just.
Are you alright?
Oh no, he's okay.
Sophia's hurt.
I'll just use me alchemy.
Don't move.
Why is this lady helping us?
Told you, I'm not made for land. Not for landing, that's for sure.
I love it. The writers of the story was like, you guys love our cast of characters. We got Arno, Sophia, Lucas.
You've done more than enough. Lucas and I, we've been through this before, sort of.
Lucas is kind of a cuckold.
Sailors, huh? That's sad.
Andrew, I really need to go to bed.
Go.
Alright.
Come back with him.
Next time we play this, as soon as this cutscene's over, we'll save it and
Under the sun.
call it. And next time we play this, that's it. I thought we were finishing it tonight.
I do too, but they're really teasing it. Like every fucking final battle is not the final battle, but they're staging it like it is.
Yeah.
But don't forget, like the rat priest, the rat pope last time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm waiting for a moment like that. And it seems like it's coming, but it's
Well,
not.
what's higher than the Rat Pope? Rat
God.
Jesus. Well, that's top of that. So, right now he's Rat Jesus. So, on the next stream, look forward to Rat Jesus. Rat Jesus.